Hello, hello, hello. I know y'all call me eat my yogurt. That's so funny. Hello, hello, hello. I need you all to come in the room. It's Winning Wisdom Wednesday, and I honestly was not gonna go live today. I decided to do this at the last minute. So y'all are gonna get a treat because I've been going in and out about doing this particular topic since the weekend. And I actually wanted to do it on the weekend, but I had decided not to. But I think it's something good to talk about, and I think it's something that can be very beneficial for business owners if they truly want to maximize the moment. So I'm hoping that if you're watching this, that you are watching because if something like the Keith Lee effect comes to your business, you know exactly how you want to maximize that moment or prepare for that moment. So we have seen several times over and over the Keith Lee effect fail at many facilities. Fail at many facilities. And it doesn't always have to be just food industry, but that's what he's known for. So for those of you that don't know him, he is a food critic that evolved from TikTok and is now using his um, influence, the power of his influence to help change the lives of small business owners across the nation. And so he started off doing food critic videos on TikTok, but he has now evolved into traveling and doing criticism on food in many different cities and stuff like that. Hey, Nicole. So, hey, Camille. Hey, Shiro still. So the problem that he has ran into, which is why he recently partnered with Microsoft, is that he goes and because the level of his influence is so high, sometimes because these businesses didn't really ever think that they would get this amazing moment, he goes, he has a high level of influence, he does what he does, and then when he leaves, their infrastructure suffers. Because why? Because, and I will say this specifically for the Black community, because I had this conversation up under another post one day that was on my Facebook timeline. I can't remember what exactly it said, but it was a post that was talking about why small Black business owners, particularly I think in the hospitality, club, food space, have an issue with staying open or have an issue with kind of gravitating towards growth. And so I remember, I'm trying to remember the exact words I said. I might forget a few words, but I remember commenting up under that post stating my insights, particularly from those of you that don't know or may not know. My family used to own two clubs here in Memphis. My family used to own Plush Club, and they used to own A Game. They used to be on Winchester, that is now District 12. And so I remember just seeing so many things that happened in that operation that even though I was young, I found questionable. And I've always learned business pretty much from an early age. So, in addition to owning those clubs, my family also owns daycare centers. And I used to work in those daycare centers. I started working there at the age of 9, and I worked there clean from the time of up till 27. You stayed at Plush Club, yeah. Plush Club is a Memphis staple. So there were things that I would see that I just knew at the time were questionable. But again, I was young. It wasn't really nothing for me to talk about because what is there for me to say at the age that I was, right? But I was in there and I would see stuff in the kitchen. I would see stuff behind the bar. I would see the customer service part of it. Hey, Vita. I would see all of that. And just being now, what I will say, my cousin didn't really like me being in Plush Club like that. She used to tell me she didn't really want me to come in, but like when they had celebrities come in, she would make sure I always got signed posters. I still have those signed posters. It's so crazy. But yeah, so I would see little things. And so this particular status came up on Facebook, and that was their question about like why does it seem like small, food owned, hospitality owned businesses or something like that have a problem with like trying to facilitate growth. And my commentary to that was that because most of the time we don't think we're going to get a big moment like that. So typically, because we don't think that we're going to get a big viral moment or a big viral opportunity like that, we go into the business leaving from the kitchen of the house and take the same mindset that we had in the kitchen in the house. And so in the kitchen in the house is you, is maybe your sister, your brother, your mama, your daddy, your uncle, whoever got the business right that's doing it from home. And y'all don't really manage each other. Like in most cases, because it's in the house, the hierarchy is mom and dad run the house, or whoever owns the business runs the house, right? So the idea is that you don't have to handle your team management any different. You don't have to handle your time management any different. You don't have to think about, well, what if we run out of supplies and we can't fulfill orders? You don't have to think about customer service because you're in the privacy of your kitchen. And what happens is that mindset of being at home in the kitchen does not evolve once they get into a building. And when they get into a building, they're all of a sudden now stacked with all of the pressures of having to run a restaurant or a food service industry or a hospitality industry based business based off of what they learned in the kitchen. And you can't do that, right? Hey, chosen one, you can't do that. You can't take that mindset of being an at-home food preparation business into the idea of you owning a restaurant. It is not the same. You have code and all of that you have to follow and you have to pay attention to. So if you don't think about the mindset shifts that you have to make from being in the kitchen to going to the restaurant, you are automatically going to set your business as being somebody in the food or hospitality space up for failure. You won't be able to make the shift, right? So going back to what I said, when you move into a restaurant space, right, you have to be ready to take on the overhead of the space. You have to be ready to take on the overhead of having a team. You have to be ready to take on the overhead of maintenance. You have to be ready to create a customer experience from the inside to the outside and from the outside to the inside, which is your marketing, right? You have to come up with structured menus. You have to figure out how you're going to get your supplies. You got to figure out where you're going to source your materials. You got to do all of these things. You have to get in with buyers that are here locally, maybe some, maybe a little bit far. You have to figure out how can you get everything you need to constantly keep it running, constantly keep it running. And you don't do that at home. When you're working from your kitchen at home, you don't do that. You just like, oh, we can just go to Sam's and get more. Or, oh, we can just go to Kroger and get more. Like if we run out. Or if we run out, then we just tell them we out. You know? But how many times have you been to a restaurant that maybe you have frequented, and for whatever reason, every time you went, there was a particular item on the menu that they were just like, we're out of it. We're sold out. We can't go get more. We don't know when it's going to come back. Or we're replacing it with this. Sometimes they don't even have a replacement. But it's something like sometimes places on their menu, they'll have particular items that they're just like, they're always out of it. And so, hey, Dr. Fred. And so what happens is that ends up becoming a pain in the butt because maybe even though those items may be your popular items, you should already know as a restaurateur that if that's going to be your popular signature dish that you're going to be serving on a regular basis, you need to have a supplier and a backup supplier, and you need to be able to have a contingency plan based upon that as far as your customer flow. Because if you know that that's your signature dish and you're still letting people through the door, and on average, because you're tracking the data and the sales of your restaurant daily to see what's selling and what supplies you need to restock on and who needs and how you need to prep the kitchen for the next day, because you're paying attention to those things, you need to know, well, if for whatever reason we run out of supplies or resources to prepare a particular dish, especially if it's our signature dishes, one, either we need to have a backup supplier or maybe a backup to the backup, or we need to be able to probably create a series of signature dishes where if that one is not available, there are still some sustainable options that we can keep on the menu regularly that they can order from, because this is what the customer has already proven that they like. Hopefully that makes sense, right? But when you're working from the kitchen, when you are somebody who's in the food industry that is working from the kitchen, if you don't translate your mindset into the growth that you are experiencing, you will go into a restaurant space or building and you will take that same kitchen mindset to that restaurant space and you will operate it that way. This is what we see time and time again. This is why we have the conversations about customer service. This is why we have the conversations about experience. This is why we have the conversations about the dishes and things that they're serving, the options that they have available, all of those things. This is why these conversations come up. Because when you're in the kitchen, you don't have to think about people being gluten free. You just gonna get whatever we pump out of this kitchen. You don't have to think about people having sensitivities to certain food. You just gonna get whatever we pump out of this kitchen and that's available on the menu. It don't work like that when you open a restaurant. If you're thinking about your ideal client and who you want to serve and who you want that particular facility to attract, you have to consider things like that you may not have necessarily considered before when you were at home in your kitchen. So because most mom and pop businesses don't think of moments happening like that, they take the same mom and pop mindset to their buildings. And while I do know and understand that there are a lot of mom and pop businesses that do actually own brick and mortar businesses, there are some that have been sustainable, but only because they have evolved their mindset to embrace that more of what that looks like and not just remain more of like what we know again to be just that mom and pop infrastructure, right? So my thing is, if you know that there's a chance or opportunity where you can go viral at any moment, and this doesn't even necessarily just have to be about food, right? This can be about any of us as creators that plan to have content. Well, we don't plan for it to go viral, we hope. But any of us as creators that plan to have content that goes viral at some point, we hope, right? You need to already have your plan in place. You don't start learning what to do when it's time to do it. So, for instance, there's an article going around saying that Keith Lee might be stopping in Memphis. Cool. I hope he does because I'm eager to see what may come out of it, right? Up under the article, the particular article that I said, several people have posted the article, but up under the article or the story, up under it, there were comments, of course, people tagging, the businesses that he should stop by here locally and take a look at, test their food, give back criticism, whatever, bring the Keith Lee effect, right? Up under that post, people are just tagging. They're just tagging. And so to a lot of people, they think that is enough to solidify them having that moment, right? To solidify that, hopefully he sees this, or hopefully his team sees this, or his wife sees this, and he'll stop by one of these establishments that we have tagged up under this particular article, right? But what I guarantee is not happening is that the people that are being tagged or the people that are under there saying you can stop by my facility. There was even one lady that was up under there like, can you come to a home kitchen? I don't know if he's gonna do that, but if he does, cool. But I guarantee you the people that are being tagged up under there are not thinking in terms of, instead of you just settling for somebody tagging you or you saying, can you stop by here? Go ahead and start your marketing now. You don't start your marketing when he stepped foot in the city. That's not how it works. You don't start doing a thing and building the behavior of a thing on the day that it's supposed to happen, right? So here's what I'm trying to say as far as going back to what I just got through talking about and what I'm tying it to now. If you know that you have been a restaurant that has not fully evolved into their kitchen mindset to being a restaurant owner and operator, and you know that there's something that you and your team struggle with, you know that you have deficiencies in your process as far as how you operate your restaurant, Your chance now to rectify that in case he does stop by is now, before he gets here. You cannot wait until he steps foot in the city to try to do a powwow with your team and your servers and your bartenders and whoever you got in there, talking about, well, y'all know Keith Lee is here, so he might step foot in the city, so I need y'all to be on your best behavior today. Because I know that's what y'all think y'all gonna do. And y'all can't do that. You can't do that. Again, I get so tired of seeing people who want these moments, but they are reactive. They are not proactive. You have every reason to be proactive. If they have been gracious enough to tell you that he may stop by, go ahead and start building that into your team, into your operational infrastructure, into your managers, into your operational excellence now. Don't wait until he gets here and say, dang, he around the corner. Now I need y'all to start doing so. It's not going to work. Why? Because humanistic behavior doesn't allow it to do so. You need to be able to build the muscle of behaviors. And if y'all don't practice this behavior every day already, it's not going to happen in one day. So he'll be able to come into your facility, somebody like him will be able to come into your facility and realize that, oh, y'all just started doing this like today or maybe yesterday or a couple of minutes ago, right? And it would only last so long. Why? Because the behavior is not ingrained in the day-to-day function of that job role. So if it's not already ingrained in that day-to-day function of their job role, or the expectations of the team, or the expectations of the restaurant and the experience, it's not just going to happen like that. So what I want to do is I want to offer you all 4 points that you should be looking for in terms of building your business for operational excellence for your viral moment or the Keith Lee effect. And this has to do with you doing it before he shows up and after he leaves, right? Which again, I commend him for saying, like, I know I'm causing a little bit of turbulence. Let me partner with somebody who can help them continue to build a sustainable infrastructure, and let me go in here and change the lives of them, but let me equip them to be able to have sustainability for the overflow that comes because I did come and bring my influence. So him teaming up with Microsoft to do that is an amazing thing, and I love to see it. But here are my 4 points. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to number one. So number one is task, team, and touch points. Task, team, and touch points. So let's talk about task. Okay. Again, you need to be proactive, not reactive. So if you know that there's a possibility that you would like for him to stop by, I'm not saying this is going to solidify that he does, but if you know that there's a possibility that you would like for him to stop by because you are wanting that viral moment of his influence to lead to a certain amount of overflow for you, this is what you need to be doing. You need to be outlining your task right now to go ahead and pre-market what you need to have in place so he can probably notice you, right? Others can share it. They can help you get the word out so it can help get on his radar. But also, as a part of task, go ahead and start prepping your facility for what it is that you need in case that moment comes over the next month or so, right? Because I think he's pretty close to what he's considering stopping by. You need to go ahead and start prepping for that now. Go ahead and do your task now. Go ahead and start advertising the greatness of your business, the greatness of your restaurant, the features, the customer service aspect, your signature dishes, what you can't live without, coming here and experiencing. Start talking yourself up. Do it now. Don't wait till he get here and just hope that he ends up seeing the flyer. Because what I will say, hey, Mel, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Handle the influx of business and visibility. Absolutely. Because what I will say, a lot of restaurants and food service business owners need to take note. Smackers here in the city of Memphis, they are changing the game around what it means to have a celebrity or a viral experience come and happen to your facility, right? So I don't know if you all know or if you all pay attention, but most of the time when celebrities come here, they are always going to Smackers. Why? Because Smackers has expanded their experience outside of just serving food. They have made themselves known as, we got the cars, we got the luxury cars that are here. They have built that into the business. They didn't just get those cars just to have them. Those cars make them money. We got the black car service when your celebrities come here. So let us come and pick you all up to serve you all food before the performance, or when you get off the plane, or when you're backstage, help feed the team. Let us do that. They have taken hospitality to a different level. And I don't know if you all have paid attention enough to them, but they are known what? For their salmon sandwich. It's amazing. Most of their menu is amazing. The stuff that I have tried anyway. But they're already known for that signature dish. And every celebrity that comes by to try that signature dish. But along with that, they are already, again, prepping them to have a celebrity-like experience with them exclusively. There are other people in this city that serve a salmon sandwich, but it don't taste nothing like Smackers. They're not going to get this black car experience. They're not going to have the exclusivity of having the facility or access to the facility to themselves. They can't um they can't support having to fill that many orders for the celebrity themselves, the celebrities team, the backstage. They can't support that. Smackers has thought about that process through the whole, from point A to point B. They have reverse engineered all of that and taken the question out of that. A lot of restaurant and food based owners need to study them, study their business model, because they are killing it. Right? So if you stay ready, again, what Mel just said, you don't have to get ready about the influx. So these are the things that you need to start advertising now before he gets here. What is your signature dish? What can we not live without when we come to your facility? What makes you so special? What is the story behind your restaurant and your food brand? How is your level of customer service more hospitable than other places that we go and attend to? How do you help build community with your services that you have here, with your services or your experience that you have here? How do you do that? How do you help connect people through food and through drinks if you serve alcohol? Tell the story. There's stories and process behind all of that, right? Stories and process behind all of that. So your task right now is to go ahead and start building that momentum and that traction. Because again, it doesn't start when Keith Lee steps foot in the city and now you're trying to scramble and advertise and tag him a million times, talking about, can you stop by? And then you let him stop by and have a lackluster experience. Like, why? Like, don't do it, right? Be proactive. So that was task. Team. So if you have a team, which in most cases, if you have a brick and mortar restaurant facility, you have a team of some sort. I don't know too many that just have one or two people, but you probably have a team of some sort. You need to get your team together now. You need to get their behaviors on board now. You need to help them be successful as the manager and the owner now. They are looking to you for leadership, or they should be, right? So you need to lead them into what could possibly happen should you all have a viral experience or an experience like the Keith Lee effect, right? You should go ahead and start prepping your team now, training your team now, getting the idea in front of them now to say, if we ever experience something like this is how this should go, or how we would desire for it to go. But as close to that as possible, right? But to just have your team and just expect them, unless you have already been doing this from day one that you've opened your facility, to have your team and just expect them to just know what to do. And so when something like that happens, because you have some people that literally have meltdowns when they see celebrities, they can't function. Their nerves get bad. So this is stuff that you need to prep them for already, as being somebody who deals with people. It's a psychological thing, right? You need to help prepare them for those moments because it's not like Memphis don't have celebrities come through here on a regular basis anyway. We do. You never know when somebody's gonna walk through your door. That's why you can't just start doing what you know you need to do at the moment that you need to do it. You need to start doing it before then. It won't work, right? So get them together, get your teams together, get your team structured, get them on board, start training them and positioning them for what their customer experience looks like from the door to the table and even after they leave. Because some of you all drop the ball after they leave, right? So, one thing that I will say, Fleming's is one of my favorite restaurants to go to. I love going for solo dates. Like they know me when I come through the door. Whenever I make reservations, they know me, right? So I love going there. One thing that I love about Fleming's is number one, and somebody will say, "Well, that's an expensive restaurant." I get it, but they serve who they serve, whatever. What I love about them is that they have a regular menu and they have a gluten-free menu. And sometimes I have a gluten sensitivity, just depending on where I'm at. Like there's certain foods that I can eat that have it in there, and there's certain foods that I can't. They know that. So when I make my reservations and I come because I have made them so many times, they have that data in their system that shows, oh, we need to give her a gluten-free menu just in case she may want to order off of that menu. They always give me both menus every time I go. It never fails. And I'm always so grateful because I never know what I'm going to be feeling that day, right? But they would not be able to do that if they didn't have the systems in place. So this is going to my third point of touch points, right? If they didn't have a system in place, they would not be able to have that data from my reservations on me to be able to say, this is how we're going to ensure that she has a top tier customer service experience and comes to spend money with us at our excellent facility, because our facility is of excellence, it's of richness, right? It's of wealthiness, right? And we don't want to give her anything less than what we have noticed. Since she patronizes with us fairly often, we don't want to give her an experience that would be less than that. And I appreciate that. So not only do they have that in the database, hey Arena here, not only do they have that in the database when I make my reservations, I also get emails and stuff like that after I have left. After I have left the facility, they send out emails about their menu. They send out emails about their story. They send out emails about their dishes. They really do give you an experience before you come through the door. And somebody will say, I don't want to be getting emails about that's fine. Like, I'm not necessarily saying I want to either, but for particular places, that especially ones that I love to go to, I love getting emails about different dishes and stuff to try that they have on the menu. Some of these places have seasonal menus. That's a good way to market to bring people in. Exclusivity, meaning we're only offering this for a certain amount of time, and once it's gone, it's gone. So this is why you need to hurry up and get through the door. This is why you need to hurry up and make a reservation, because why? Once it's gone, it's gone. It's seasonal, right? The touch points of your customers matter, whether you're in food, hospitality, service-based, whatever type of business you have. It doesn't matter. Multiple touch points matter. So, hey, Letitia, see, we got a chef on now. She's good. She's amazing. Well, her dishes be looking amazing. I can't wait to try her food one day. But that's the experience that I get from them. Hey, elevated senses. That's the experience that I get from them. And it's a memorable experience. They already create the ambiance of what I'm going to get before I walk into the door. A lot of you all drop the ball on that. They also continue to create the ambiance after I leave, right? So even if that's, sending out the survey saying, how was your experience today? Or whatever they decide to do as an additional touch point on the back end, the fact that I am on their list and I receive exclusive, discounts or things, specials that they're running and stuff like that, that makes me want to keep coming back. It's the small things, because one thing that we gonna do as human beings, we're gonna spend money on food. We may not care to buy too much nothing else if we got, low on funds. We're gonna pay for some good food. So this is why you don't have the opportunity to miss things like this as a part of your operational process, because humans are always gonna pay for food. If they don't pay for nothing else, they're gonna pay for food. They're gonna pay for beauty, food and beauty. They're gonna pay for them, no matter how much money in their pocket. We gonna pay for it, right? So that's number one. Number two, training and prepping your supplies. So this is the second point that I have. Again, you need to, first of all, be training yourself as the manager and the owner for this type of experience to happen, how you're going to lead from the front, and how you expect others to follow your lead in an instance like that. You need to make sure that communication is key, because the only way that a restaurant or hospitality-based business could really, really work the way that it's supposed to is if you have great communication with your team. It's the only way. Really, any team, right? But definitely in the food and hospitality space, you have to have great communication with your team. You have to. You cannot miss that mark. So if that's, you need to have separate team meetings with your chefs, separate team meetings with your servers, separate team meetings with your hostess and hostesses. Um, you need to do that because they all play a different role as a part of one larger machine. And all of their responsibilities are different. So if you're not communicating what they're supposed to be doing in this particular moment, if should it happen or leading up to this moment, right? They should really be carrying themselves like this every day. Because again, we never know when somebody of, high influence is going to come and ask for our services or is going to walk into our facility. We never know. You never know. So this is why it's important to already be conducting that behavior prior to. So you need to train each one of them. You need to communicate with each group of them, right? And in your prep, I cannot stress enough. You need to have lock-ins with your suppliers. And I get how some things just, they may be out. There may be hangups as far as like the logistics or the supply chain process. I get it. However, you need to have a contingency plan for what could happen should your supply chain process break down. Because again, like I said at the beginning of the video, some of y'all didn't hear me. My family used to own Plush Club here in the city of Memphis, and they used to own A Game, which is now District 12 on Winchester. I saw all of the breakdowns in the kitchen from having probably hired the wrong people. Let me just say that. That's definitely what it was. Hired the wrong people, had the wrong people in the wrong places. And I saw the breakdowns that happened in the kitchen as well as behind the bar. And I was young, but I saw them. So you need to be locked in with your suppliers. You need to have your contingency plan. Again, if you run out of supplies, whatever you're sourcing from whoever you're sourcing your supplies from, is it something that you can go and grab locally should you run out of it? I remember one time I was at like a local coffee shop and they had ran out of something, but they were able to send a team member to the store until they could place a larger order. They were able to send a team member to the store locally to go and source, what it was that they needed to at least get through that day or the next 2 days until they could get an order delivered, right? You need to be able to have contingency plan like that in place. It can make or break your business for you to be able to go to somebody and say, we don't have enough of this particular supply to create this dish, or we don't have enough of this particular item to create this drink, or we don't have enough. But you all are constantly, especially if it's something that you're advertising. Oh my God, this is basically what happened. I think this is basically what happened with Red Lobster, because y'all know they advertise endless shrimp, and endless shrimp is one of the reasons they filed bankruptcy. So again, if you know that you're going to run an ad or a marketing campaign around a signature dish or a special that you have running, you need to make sure that you got enough of this stuff in place. You really, really do. Because if you're using that again as that attraction factor to get people into your facility because it is going to be a limited edition thing, you need to make sure that you know that you can get as much of that supply and that product that you need to get in. Now, I know at the beginning of that marketing campaign, you don't really know how it's going to turn out until you see the flow of people come through the door and you see like what they order. Again, going back to your system and seeing like what do people frequently order, what do they frequently request. Once you pay attention to what they frequently order and what they frequently request, you can kind of gauge better how much of daily supply you need to have, especially until that special is ran over. But you can kind of gauge better what type of daily supply you need to have to fulfill what you need to fulfill on a daily basis with that. Because if the expectation is you have a signature dish that you're advertising, you're marketing, especially running ads for larger corporations and multiple locations, right? The idea is that you all know you're going to have a lot of it, right? So you may have 50, 100, 150, 200 people that may come in a day, depending on how big your facility is, ordering that same dish. And if you get to half of those people and you have to turn half of them around because you don't have the supplies you need to make that dish, you losing money. Like you didn't lost for that day. You didn't lost. But you still got to pay your servers, right? You still got to pay your chefs. You still got to pay your hostess. And to some extent, you still got to pay yourself, right? And you still got to buy supplies, other supplies. You more than likely cannot go multiple days of not having what you need to make your sales in that particular industry. You can't do it. Because if you go too many days, that's how the restaurants end up closing. They end up tanking and they have to, let all of it go. That's one of the reasons I know. Okay. Number 3, service, satisfaction, and solitude. Okay. Service, satisfaction, and solitude. I cannot drive home enough how important it is to have great customer service, period. I don't care who you are, business owner or not, right? You as the consumer should have great service, manners, right, towards your servers and the people that are engaging with you. And then they should have great service to you as the consumer and the customer, right? Let's both make it a two lane road, right? But customer service from the business standpoint is one of the things that can make or break your business. And that in terms of hiring the right people, making sure you have the right people in the right places, making sure they have a decent amount of emotional intelligence, right? Because the frustration, especially for servers, the frustration already is that they're only getting paid, a small amount of money. So they have to work really hard for the money that it is that they make, because majority of it comes from tips. So don't put nobody as a server. Don't put nobody as a server that got a bad attitude. Don't do that. Don't have them serve. Don't have them be the hostess and don't have them serve. Put them in the back somewhere. Like let them be in the back. If you know their attitude could be a little, put them in the back. Let them be in the back. For your people that have great attitudes, great emotional intelligence, are team players, hold company values high when they're at work, put those people on the floor. Put them on the floor to engage with your customers because they're going to do everything that they need to do to make sure that their customer service and their customer experience is great and it is memorable. And that people are always, whenever they come to their facility, they always end up requesting them. Because why? They want to get a repeatable experience. So it only makes sense for you to put those type of people out on the floor because they're helping to build and grow your business based off the experience that they provide as service providers in their particular role, right? So going into satisfaction, that plays into satisfaction. You have to be able to create a satisfaction factor for your customers. And again, going into should Keith Lee stop by here, which he's supposed to, Should he stop by here, you need to make sure that he has a satisfactory experience. You need to make sure, like, don't give him no dishes that you know are not great, that you know are not going to perform well. Again, this is your time now before he gets here to study your menu, recreate your menu, pull out what you want to be your signature items or create your signature items, whatever. This is your time now to figure out what those things are that you are really great at making, that people have already told you, like, this is what I want to order every time I come here. Like, this is what I come here for. This is what you're known for. This is what we love you for. This is what the community is buzzing about in terms of what you serve. Give him those things. Like, let him get those things, even though he's gonna pick for the biggie. But still, like, if you have signature items, I don't think he's gonna like swerve from the signature items to just go randomly pick something else, right? Think about that. Go ahead and put the opportunity of satisfaction in front of people, for the stuff that you know you're great at. And then solitude. It'll only work out in your favor. Should everything go well, I think in his case, whether it's good publicity or bad publicity, like whether he says the food is good or bad, I think it still kind of works both ways. I think people still end up getting the influx that they see, regardless of whether he says the food is good or bad. Because I think some people, if he says it's bad, I think some people want to go just to see for themselves still. And then if he says it's good, of course, people want to go and experience the same thing that he experienced as far as it being good, right? So you need to have, you need to create a sense of solitude, in knowing that it could be good or bad either way. And it can work in your favor either way. But you must have a plan. You must have a plan to make sure that it works out for you either way. So think about what that could look like, right? And then my last point is number 4, maintenance and monetization. So again, going back to what we said, the problem is his influence is so powerful, that when he goes to places, oftentimes it leaves them overwhelmed due to the influx, of people that start flooding the different businesses, right? And so because of that, their infrastructure suffer. Things like not having tech in place, things like not having enough people working at the facility, things like, having to maybe, redesign or reposition like their customer experience, stuff like that. There's breakdowns, right? Um, don't let this opportunity be an opportunity that he comes in and he talks so great about you and he hypes you up and he gives basically the rite of passage and you can't maintain the flow. Like I said again, I know he's partnering with Microsoft to help businesses be able to maintain that after he leaves because he saw that as a problem. He didn't want to create that problem, so he found a solution. But already be thinking, how can you maintain an influx like that to where you're serving at that level of excellence all the time? You should always want to be striving for a level of excellence in your business, especially in food and hospitality, because people would drag you for customer service, right? But if you do really great, they're going to talk about how great it is all the time and they won't shut up about it, right? So go ahead and think about what your maintenance plan should be. Again, going back to what I said earlier, touch points. This is your opportunity after you have that influx of visitors to be able to have a touch point with them and say, hey, thank you for stopping by after the Keith Lee effect. We would like to offer you a special something something, for supporting us during that time, and we hope to see you come back and be a frequent customer. That could be a 10% off your meal. That could be a free appetite. You never know. You never know. Small things like that make a huge difference and it make people come back. But you would have to have a system in place to be able to make stuff like that happen. If you don't have any tech in place, you can't make stuff like that happen. Otherwise, you have to write people's names and information that y'all don't have time to do that. You need to be cooking and maintaining the facility. Like, you ain't got time to do all that. Get a system, right? And then also have a campaign behind it. Like, make that work for you. Monetize that. Make it work for you. Throw out the special. 2 for, what is it? three, you know, you can do 2, 3 for one drink, whatever you feel like you need to do to keep the momentum going as a thank you. Like have a thank you campaign that comes after that influx of influence leaves you, so you can maintain the momentum. I already be thinking about those things. Okay. So those are my 4 points for you. And again, and again, if you have questions about your food and hospitality business and you want to talk about how you can maximize the Keith Lee effect, should he decide to stop at your facility or not, or just you wanted to be proactive. Because again, you could be making a dish on TikTok and go viral. So I'm just saying, you need to maximize that. And if it's something like that, let me just plug that in. If it's something like that, like you're in your kitchen, or you're somebody who does a lot of cooking on TikTok or on social media and stuff like that, your viral moment should already be locked in and secured by you selling a cookbook or recipe cards or something. Like you need to be maximizing that. And you need to make it into a series. You can break it down into multiple series. You can do a seafood, you can do chicken, you can do beef. You can break it down into multiple crock pot dishes, southern home cooking, Jamaican food, whatever you want to do. I just gave you free game. That's how you maximize those opportunities, because people want the dishes that you're making. So you might as well make a cookbook, sell it for like $30 to $45 per person, because they're gonna buy it, whether it's digital or hard copy. They're gonna buy it. It don't even have to be hard copy. They still pay $30 or $45 for it, because they want the food experience that's inside of the book. That's how you prep yourself up for your viral moment. And then now you're sitting on like 6 figures because you took advantage of it, depending on how viral you go, right? It could be just that simple. It could be just that simple. But anyway, this is my Winning Wisdom Wednesday about the Keith Lee effect and operational excellence. I hope that there was something that you could take from this. Again, if you have questions specifically about your business in food or hospitality and you want to see how this can work in your business specifically, get in my DM, comment below. Ask me questions. I'm willing to help you prepare before he gets here, because you literally have no excuses anymore. If you know somebody that has a food and hospitality business, you need to share this live with them, because like I said, all of those people that were tagging folks up under that article, I guarantee you they are not preparing and they are not prepared. And I would hate for them to not be able to maximize and capitalize off a viral moment that can change themselves and their families' lives. So share this with them. This is viral, valuable information that needs to get shared, but it probably won't. But anyway, those of you that tuned in, thank y'all for being here. And yeah, I hope y'all have a great rest of your day.